Third for Christmas, Dan Burn the Geordie Giant, and is Saint-Maximin really in favour with Mr. Eddie Howe? All these debates and more coming up in the Black and White Banter Last Word, so stick around. Welcome back to Black and White Banter, Newcastle fans, you lovely, extra lovely, third in the place folk. What a time to be a Newcastle fan. I hope every single person who's clicked on this video, if you are new, then great. I hope you are all feeling as absolutely fantastic as I am right now, because we are third in the league all the way until Santa Claus comes down the chimney on Christmas Day. And to be honest, Santa Claus doesn't have to come down the chimney. We couldn't have wanted more than that for Christmas. Forget about the World Cup and all the things people might want from that. Our football club is third in the league and looks like there is nobody stopping us. So I just wanted to start with that. If you are new to Black and White Banter, Newcastle fans, you've just came across this video somehow randomly, out of the blue, I don't know, drop down and give us one of these. It goes a very, very long way. It just gets us in that algorithm, and it's nice to be nice, and it takes a second for you to do that. Get us on all social media, posting on there every single day, videos, photos, never normally serious, but always Newcastle. And whack that subscribe button. You might want to stick around to the end before you decide to click the subscribe, but do it and you'll get notified every single time a video drops. I've just done a video where I spoke to the Saudi protesters on Saturday. A little bit out of my comfort zone, a little bit more of a serious grilling. I was giving some questions to them outside St James's from maybe a fan's point of view, doesn't agree with the protest. Didn't really like some of the responses, but it was an interesting one. I've had some really good comments on that video, so drop down, just go a little bit further down and check that one out. So it's the last word. It's Tuesday afternoon as I make this video, and obviously the final last word for a very, very long time because of this random as hell, very bizarre, very unethical Winter World Cup in Qatar. So I'm not going to be doing one of these for a while, but as I said at the start of the video, we are on cloud nine, and I think the first place I wanted to start following that match against Chelsea was just how far this team can go now. Has the Winter World Cup come along at a good time? I'm not so sure. But as we currently sit in the league, we are third. As I look down the teams in the division, I don't think there's any teams that I fear as a Newcastle fan at the moment, purely based off that defensive foundation that we have at the back. That back five looks, for me, one of the best in Europe. Definitely the best in the Premier League. And I don't fear anyone, and that's an amazing thing for me to say as we currently sit third on 30 points. We're 2 points behind Man City, who lost at the weekend, did not play very well at all. We've got Arsenal in the new year on January the 3rd, who are obviously top, so that could be a massive game depending on how our results go against Leicester and Leeds before that. I just don't fear anyone, and you've got to remember we've got a month where it looks like Isak is going to be back in the new year in contention. So touch wood, nothing happens to Callum Wilson. He comes back fighting fit. Hopefully he gets some game time in Qatar. I'd love to see that. Who knows where we could be? And people are starting to talk about us as being in the title race. And that's crazy. Premier League dropped the question today, who do you think will win the title? And for me as a Newcastle fan, to see Newcastle United as one of them options you can vote on social media is absolutely bonkers. And we are all enjoying the ride, and that's all well and good. But there comes a time when you have to ask yourself, maybe step out of that biased mindset, are we in this title race at the moment? And you have to say, yes, we are. Leicester, our next Premier League match, they haven't had a great season. I don't fear them. Leeds at home, Arsenal away. Let's just see where we go game by game. But you can guarantee one thing, there will be some money getting spent in January. Maybe more so than the other teams around us, so who knows? I think every Newcastle fan who's living in this dreamland expects us to burn out a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. And I got asked at the weekend a very difficult question. I've been asking fans the same thing, but when I was asked now, based off what I've watched after 15 matches, where I think Newcastle will finish, obviously my opinions to the start of the season have changed, and I was very on the spot because you worried about sounding a bit ahead of yourself. But I just based it off everything I've witnessed and the fact we may strengthen. I said third. I said we will finish third in the league. And I hadn't even had any beers at this point neither. So Newcastle fans, as I'm going to ask you to do all the way through this last word, let me know in the comments how far you think this team can go. Next point, this is a very, very quick one. Is anyone's brain looking like this 24/7 at the moment?
We've got Bruno in the middle. He knows exactly what we need. Botman at the back. Isaac in attack. Newcastle's going to win the Premier League.
But we also need to stop the downturn in sales and regain market share. So can I bring you in here, David? Any comments?
We've got Bruno in the middle.
Sorry, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, great sales, more of that. Yeah, great, perfect.
Botman at the back. Isaac in attack. Newcastle's going to win the Premier League. We've got Bruno in the middle. He knows exactly what we need. Botman at the back. Isaac in attack. We've got Bruno in the middle.
We've got Bruno in the middle. I shared it on social media and everyone else agrees. Is that one of the catchiest chants we've had for like the last, what feels like a decade? Because to me, I am waking up in the morning, as I've just shown in that video, we've got Bruno in the middle. I could be in a serious conversation with someone who's just had some tragic news, and yes, I'd be listening to them, but I'd also be, we've got Bruno in the middle. Very, very catchy. Surely, please, someone tell me I'm not the only one who has that song in their head at the moment on repeat. Please let me know. So that was just a very short one, but my God, what a catchy chant. I know other teams have the same chant with different words, but that do. Yeah, and even talking about it on this video now, it's stuck. So, well done, Matthew. I'm going to be singing that for the rest of the night now. All of this talk about the defence, and I've talked about this on the Last Word videos over the last couple of weeks, I haven't singled out Mr. Dan Burn, the Geordie shithouse that he is, for any special praise. Now, there was a lot of talk about whether he should go to the World Cup. I was kind of, yes, form-wise, he should. We all know that an international manager has their favourites, but I think looking at who's actually got in, the likes of Conor Cody, who I've got no doubts is probably a really good leader. He seems a passionate footballer, and I do rate him, even if Everton aren't doing very well. I don't think there's anyone better than Dan Burn at the moment in England form-wise. And I agree, Dan Burn's come out and said that he thinks that he's very rare in terms of how he can play on the left-hand side, left-back and centre-back. Not many centre-backs are capable of doing that. His form's great, and he also thought he could bring some leadership qualities to the England camp as well. And I do think, looking at that England team, he's very, very harshly done by. We've got injuries at fullback. I'm not saying Southgate, how he likes to press with his fullbacks, would ever see Dan Burn in that position. But I think he is harshly done by. And against Chelsea on Saturday, he was an absolute rock. I've watched that tackle in the dying minutes on Havertz about a million times. How the hell does the ball go so far from a slide tackle into the air? He absolutely crunches him. He basically puts him inside his sandwich and eats him in one tackle. And I think he's been absolutely immense for us. And I'm one of them. I love to have some people in our team that are our own. When Eddie Howe offered Paul Dummett a new contract, I know he hasn't played any football, and a lot of people think he's absolutely done and dusted, which he probably is. But I was still happy to have like a Geordie in the camp. And now that we've got Dan Burn playing some of the greatest football of his career in that back five, it's amazing to have a Geordie in the team who's so passionate. And how everything spiralled at the end of that game is what we love to see as Newcastle fans. We just want to see our players doing absolutely everything for that Newcastle shirt, and they all had each other's backs. You know, I'm in the stand screaming, "Go on, deck him, Dan," as we all do. And it was absolutely amazing to see, and that was almost an amazing finish to the game. Think what you want of, like, you know, handbags and whether it was a bit embarrassing. I loved it. It showed the passion of our players. It showed the celebrations at the end after that little scuffle was over. And Dan Burn, for me, has been just as important as Trippier, just as important as Pope, just as important as Shah. They've all been absolutely solid as a unit together. And the fact he's a local lad living his dream, I just think we need to heap some massive praise on his back. And he is, as I think about it more and more, And after seeing his quotes, he is very unlucky not to be on that plane to Qatar. So I've got no doubts about it. He will get a call up in friendly games in future if he keeps playing the way he is. So big up Dan Burn, the Geordie Giant, brick shit house. Fantastic. Last big topic I wanted to finish on today is Allan Saint-Maximin. Some people love him. Some people loathe him. Some people think he's a bit of a luxury in a team. He's one of them players who splits opinion. Hatem Ben Arfa split opinion. Laurent Robert split opinion. Even going back as far as David Ginola, he probably split opinion at times, but obviously that was of a different era where it was just attack non-stop. Saint-Maximin is definitely one of them players. I know people who absolutely love him. When I've mentioned on previous videos maybe not wanting him to start away from home, I've been called an idiot. But I'm struggling to see now whether Eddie Howe has full faith in a player like Saint-Maximin. And I take a look back, and I look at what Eddie Howe's about. I look how he conducts himself in interviews when he's talking about his own management style. I don't know whether Allan Saint-Maximin, a player who, yes, he's learned to pass the ball more and he's passionate, so he ticks those boxes, whether a man who is always going to maybe try and take on 2 or 3 players when maybe the game isn't going your way and you may be 1-0 down, or you're pushing for a goal, or you're just pushing for a bit of momentum in the final third. He is a luxury, and a lot of things Allan Saint-Maximin tries don't come off. In one season, even in a matter of games, we see the good Maximin and the bad. We see the good against Man City at home when he absolutely terrorised them, and we see the bad when he maybe goes missing and gets hooked off after 60 minutes. Completely goes missing. And I talked about it when we were playing away to Southampton, because a lot of people thought he was going to come in, that I didn't want him to start. I wanted us to keep that work ethic and away from home as well when you may be under the cosh. And he went with Willock, and it ended up paying off in the end. Obviously he scored that day, and he started against Crystal Palace in the Cup, and he didn't do very much, but the whole team didn't. And Eddie Howe again, going into that Chelsea match where I would have thought, right, he's a big time player, he likes the big matches in front of the cameras, in front of his home crowd. Eddie Howe again overlooked him. He never even came on as a substitute against Chelsea. And I don't know, is it because of match fitness, or are we just seeing a player now who will always be viewed as a luxury to Eddie Howe? Maybe when we 1-0 down and you need something a bit different. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether Eddie Howe sees Allan Saint-Maximin as a instant starter, first on the team sheet when he's fit. I'm not convinced of that. And again, Newcastle fans, let me know in the comments what you think. Not about Allan Saint-Maximin. Well, obviously let me know if you're a fan, but let me know whether you maybe have the same opinion as me, that Eddie Howe maybe isn't fully convinced about him, starting every single match week in, week out, like the likes of, at the moment, Bruno, Joelinton, Wilson, Almiron. Does he fall into that category, or are we going to see Allan Saint-Maximin playing a big part, substitutes, all of this kind of stuff as the season goes on? I'm curious to get your thoughts. I'm going to sign off on that one. Those were some of the topics I want to talk about in this last word, because I could talk all day with how things are going well for our football club. But I'm not going to do that, because I know most of you don't even stick around this long. So let me know your thoughts on all of the topics I've already talked about in the comments. Please, I love seeing comments. Check out my Saudi protesting video just a little bit further down, because that one I had to get some serious balls to do that, and it was a little bit out of the comfort zone. And just enjoy the rest of your week, Newcastle fans, as Newcastle sit third in the league and we aren't going anywhere. I'm going to hopefully keep doing some content over the World Cup, Newcastle related, because that's all I love to talk about. Still haven't decided whether I'm going to do World Cup content, because it's not really where my passion lies with regards to England. I'm a bit of a bandwagon jump with international football. But I've loved some of the feedback lately. Drop down, whack that like if you've lasted this long, hit the subscribe, and get us across all social media. Eddie Howe's Mags are third in the league. I'll see you on the next video, Newcastle fans. Away the lads.